G'day Internet, welcome back to another video. It's been a minute. Yeah. Alright, ignoring that. The Commodore SX64, the portable version of the mighty Commodore 64. I would probably hazard a guess and be fairly accurate that for a lot of Commodore 64 or vintage computer collectors, it's pretty high on their list. I was incredibly fortunate enough last month to pick up this guy, and it's in amazing condition for a 40-something-year-old computer. Look, it's got a few little marks and stuff on it, which you'd expect, but for a machine of this vintage, and this is I think we worked it out to be a 1983 build, it's amazing. And as you'll see later, the inside of it is pristine as well. Now, there are some things we're going to do. It'll be a pretty short video. If it was just like, hey, it's a Commodore 64, SX64, I'm going to keep doing that. But here it is. It's amazing and I love it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We do have someone coming on the channel though. He'll be here now. Okay, so Mark's joined me. Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Hi. As much as this SX64 is in amazing condition, there are some things we're going to do to it. One is we're going to put some heat sinks on some of the important chips on the main board. We all know that a bunch of the Commodore 64 chips run hot, so I think that's a good idea. There are some sticky keys on the keyboard. They work, but you've kind of got to mash them to get them to work. So I've got a new membrane. And the big one is we're going to recap the power supply purely for safety's sake.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Now, in saying that, we've all seen a power supply recap a million times. So, yeah. Run the montage. That's the power supply recapped. Nothing exciting, although it's built like a tank.
It's crazy heavy.
It's like Atari
Solid.
800 levels of aluminium.
Yeah.
The next one is we're going to tackle the heat sinks on the main board and a few other chips. We've got a rough idea how to pull this thing apart. So come with us on a journey as we try to extract the main board. And I'm guessing there's also going to be a 6502 on the
floppy drive board.
On the floppy drive board as well.
Which is, I think, is this board at the back by the looks of it.
Yeah.
That's all floppy looking stuff.
Yeah, so we should just be able to put a heatsink straight on there. We don't have to pull that one out.
As long as it doesn't get in the way of the power supply.
Oh yeah, that is very true.
Because it's pretty cramped.
Yeah.
Whole machine is very cramped, but...
Well, there's enough room for that plug.
Yeah, that's true.
So...
We should be right.
Well, we'll be fine. Yeah. We'll be fine. Don't worry about it. All right. Power supply out of the way. Screwdrivers at the ready. And... So, what I think is that this intermediary board, which plugs into the main board, needs to come out because it needs to
because that board needs to go that way.
Yeah. Well, no, it's got to come up, but there's a pin header this direction.
Oh,
right.
So it can only go...
Yeah. So, I can see a couple of screws down here, but...
They're inaccessible?
Well, basically, yes, because they're kind of half underneath the chip. And getting them out is one thing, but
Getting them back in.
getting them back in could be something completely
Who needs screws?
All right, I'm going to say that we start by removing the top 3 screws at the top of the main board. And basically, they're not screws, they're clips.
Because they got little
things
at the back of them.
and a little flathead. I got one.
Oh,
There's a whole screwdriver set sitting right
yeah. Well, I was going to get.
All right, 1,
1, 2, 3, go.
2, 3. Okay, and these should come out. 1.
I'm just going to let you break one of these.
Well, yeah, I guess it's mine, isn't it? So keep these together. Otherwise, they're a great way of losing them. Okay, so that's.
Oh, it does come out.
It does come out.
But you need to get the other board with it.
There's another one here.
Oh, so they both come out together, maybe, and
Maybe,
then you can disconnect them from each other.
Okay, so that's those. Let's assuming we're right there. Let's disconnect you. I don't know where you go, but you go somewhere. Let's disconnect you.
I can't afford this thing, so I'm not touching it. It seems willing.
Yeah, but you're still connected to something.
And do not want to leave. There we go.
Yeah, but that's actually not what's stopping it. Oh, we've got to get at the other end of that big ribbon cable. Hey!
Ah.
Look at that.
Oh, that's neat.
That's it. There's your SX64.
Cool.
Cool. All right, let's get this out of the way.
Get that. Be gone.
Be gone. Don't get damaged.
So this is kind of cool. Look at that chunky heatsink, which
Yeah.
I guess is on the VIC-2.
Okay, so let's just.
Oh, yeah, you
this
can-
should pop out. There we go. Okay. Let's give the audience a slightly better view of this. Right. So, what do we got? We've got a 6510. Mm-hmm. That's our processor.
I think that's basic ROM.
Yep.
That's character ROM. Is that kernel ROM? I think it is, but it's a.
Well,
it's
the
an
kernel
EEPROM.
ROM is the only one that's different in an SX64, isn't it?
Yeah, the basic ROM and the character ROM are the same as the Commodore 64. It's only the kernel that differs.
Yeah, and I think this is a fairly early production SX64. I can't remember the manufacture date. So the fact that it's a EEPROM kind of makes sense, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's this guy?
PLA.
That's our PLA.
And then you've got SID, VIC-2, and CIAs.
CIAs. All right. So,
What's that?
sorry?
What's that?
Oh, little tiny speaker. Got no idea. No,
No.
it's got six pins on it. Okay.
Anyway.
So, where do you think we should put heatsinks on? CPU,
CPU,
PLA,
PLA, SID,
SID.
probably the ROMs, although this might be a bit of a challenge. We could always... I do have replacement ones as well. But I don't know if it's going to work.
Why?
Well, because that's a 28-pin EEPROM.
Oh, and all yours.
Mine
are
are 24.
24. Maybe we're better off just leaving them in.
Yeah,
and
just
not doing-
heatsink.
And just heatsink them.
Yeah. Well, heatsink heatsink the lot.
Do it all! Right. You want to go to the heatsinks?
Yes.
You can't go that way. There's an extension lead in the way.
No.
And we'll get heat sinking. And then we'll look at the chips on the
The
disk
other
drive
board,
controller.
disk drive board. Yeah.
Right, let's get to it. We'll pop it out
to-
and see if... Maybe not all legs are wired in.
Yeah, I have to wonder.
Look, that's been... Surely that's an
okay.
address double.
Yeah.
I reckon it probably worked. But
So it probably worked.
In saying that, do you want to put the whole thing together and then go, it doesn't work? Mind you, it was only 3 clips.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're going to try with his modern replacement ROMs. Direct from BWS.
Cheers.
And if it boots, awesome. If not, we'll pull it back apart and we'll just heatsink the ROMs. Cool.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Let's do the ROMs first then. So 1, 2, 3.
Yep. Yeah. If they'll release.
All right. So I'm going to keep these in somewhat order so we don't forget. You know, I actually do have one of those fancy chip pullers, the ones you go...
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Know where it is?
No? No. No, it's in the office, I think. Where in the office is a whole other question.
Yeah.
See, that's got extra... Whatever ROM that is, it's got extra pins
Yeah.
for a 28-pin ROM. Okay, so do you know which one of these is which?
Yeah. I know everything's. 901225.
Turn them around so we can read them. 901226 is this one.
Okay, let's go from that end. 901226 is the basic ROM.
Okay, so let's make sure I got it the right way around. Okay, that is kernel ROM.
Kernel ROM, which is the middle one.
And we assume it goes just going by the pinout, the traces and stuff on the board.
Yeah, it should go towards the rear of the socket.
Okay.
And that only leaves character ROM.
Character ROM. Okay.
That should work.
It'll be fine. It's only a very expensive vintage computer. That's right. Okay, so heatsinks on these guys.
Yes. Yeah, don't even bother with that stuff.
That stuff, garbage.
Look in the back. They're the good ones.
Okay, so is that enough for the CPU? Or do you have one slightly longer?
Bum, 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 bum.
Right, but these will do for those guys.
Yep.
All right, now watch me spend 20 minutes trying to get, oh no, it comes straight off.
Comes off. You just want to give it a firm press once it's
Lined up.
Just don't want them falling off.
No.
But I've found that these, like, they do stick pretty well.
Yeah. I just like to make sure that they're straight.
Me too.
So what's under that?
Vic 2.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Well, we don't need to worry about that
such
guy.
a-
It's already got
Well, yeah.
an epic
Because
heatsink.
they're like the hottest running chip on the whole board. So.
CIAs don't need. Do you normally need a heatsink CIAs?
Some of them, older ones, yes. We haven't even had a look at date codes. 2983. Wow, this, yeah, it must be pretty early.
Okay.
I think we should heatsink those as well. Just
To be sure, to be sure.
to be sure.
If we do end up with a collision where things don't fit, how do you get these things off? Bit of heat?
Bit of heat. Usually, if they haven't been on for too long, they come off relatively easily without too much of a fight. Otherwise, just a blade in between the heatsink and the chip
All right.
will release them.
Okay, cool.
That is it. Yeah, everything is heat synced, and we don't have to worry about heat syncing these things because
they're
they
the
run
modern.
totally cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so that will put you to one side.
Oh yes, floppy board.
Let me grab
Let's have a look at that.
this. So this is the floppy controller board. We have a
I
bunch
can't
of
see
chips.
it, so
Okay, I'm going to come around because I can't read it upside down because it's just the way I work. MOS 3557201,
that's like a PLA integrated
Okay.
logic thing.
6522,
It's a VIA.
6502, CPU. And another 6522
VIA.
and I'm assuming 3 ROMs.
Yeah, normally there's 2 ROMs. Maybe there's...
Well, what else is there then? Oh, there's a MOS. Do they have their own PLA? 625302.
625302. I think that's a ROM. 901229. Oh, yeah. Those 2 are ROMs. That's SRAM.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. So what do you think we should...
I should have brought replacement ROMs for those because I've got them too.
Yeah, that'll be right.
Heatsink everything.
Heatsink everything. Right. So that's all the heatsinks done. We'll now drop the main board and swear a lot. And then we're going to take a look at the keyboard, which I think I'm going to do a little bit of research in because I'm sure it's going to be full of tiny little fragile clips.
Yeah, you don't want to screw that up.
Finally, this keyboard. I've got a new membrane over there to replace the ones in it. These are kind of known as a bit of a fault. For the most part, this does work and I will keep the old membrane, but there are like just 2 or 3 keys that are sticky. The R button, for instance, so every time you kind of type run, it's like, come on, run. So I'm going to swap the membrane in it. I've done a little bit of research on how these come apart. I believe it essentially starts by, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 little clips along here, and I have a plastic spudger. I don't like using just flathead screwdrivers, especially on plastic stuff. It's a great way of just leaving ugly little marks in there. So with the spudger, I should be able to just get in there and push. Yep, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is that now loose? Should be loose. It's loose. It's loose. And the top cover comes off. Right. How does the rest of it come apart? Well, I can see some screws. That's usually a good start. Is that enough, or has that other little one got to come out? Okay, you're clicked in at the back. There we go, and then let me guess, you're hooked up on... Oh, okay. You've got to pull it back, flip it over, and then unscrew the plug. And that should separate that. Nice. Okay, and now if my information is correct, we've got to... Okay, do the keycaps come off or... Right, having a bit of a play, it seems that each of the keycaps need to be clipped out from the back side so you can get to the membrane. Okay. Let's fast forward through this, shall we? All right, with all the keycaps out and the space bar, it looks like we've got 1 screw holding it together there and 2 tiny screws which actually hold down the, if I have a look at here, these are the actual contact points as far as I'm aware for all the various bits and bobs. So let's get, where'd my screwdriver go? That guy out. And that should, yep, that looks like an earth more than anything. It looks like these plastic clips here need to come out. Oh, yep, there we go, that was easy. Just two little clips on each side. And then let's just make sure it's free elsewhere before I disturb this. Yep, we're looking good, we're looking good, we're looking good, we're looking good. Okay, so two microscopic little Phillips head screws here. Where's a tiny, no, flathead. Looks like a Torx bit. Phillips head screwdriver. One tiny screw. Two tiny screw. Mind you, better than the Commodore 64 keyboard, which has a million tiny little screws. There's our pressure plate there, and this in theory should just come off. It does. Alright. My only concern here is I hope I haven't just removed the bits of carbon contact here, because some of them look a bit, or is that gunk on them? Because if I've done that, could be a little screwed. Right, so that kind of turned into a whole thing. The short version is replacement membrane just kept moving around. I don't know if it's a bad fit or I was doing something wrong. Those traces that I mentioned, yes, that was the biggest problem. Luckily, I went digging around and found that I had a tin of that Mectronics rubber keypad repair stuff. It's the stuff I used on my PET keyboard. It was actually out of date. I wouldn't have thought this would have had a use-by date, but it was all dried up. But I managed to kind of stir it up enough for it to work. And I ended up having to repair both the PCB and the original membrane. But after all of that, and it's been several hours of swearing and assuming I'd just trashed basically an irreplaceable keyboard, we now have a working keyboard again. Here's a little tip for you. Unless there is a key or multiple keys absolutely trashed, don't do this, okay? This was basically done because 2 or 3 keys were a bit sticky and I should have just left the hell alone, and I didn't, and here we are. But it's done now. I'm going to put all this back together and give it one more test. All right, we're back together. Please hope this works. QWERTY EOPP, da da da. All right, everything seems to be working. All right, we have shift, we have caps lock, we have random arrows. We have cursors. Good. Right. Now, one thing I do want to have a quick play with, I picked up this, the Kung Fu Flash. Yes, I know they've been around for ages. I haven't had one before. And I know at the time of recording this, they're about to release the Kung Fu Flash 2. So, yay, just as I buy this one. The Kung Fu Flash 2, I think, does the REU memory expansion as well, which is kind of cool. But the reason I got this is, okay, so this is a portable device. And yes, I've got SD to IECs and I've got high 1541s, but they all come with extra cables and they hang off the back and all the rest of it. I wanted something that was just neat and tidy and would actually live in here. And I've got to say, it works a treat. It basically, I haven't actually tried I haven't actually tried D64 files, so disk images on it, but it certainly supports CIT, and lots of programs and games have already been converted to CIT, which is good, and it will run PRG files fine as well. So as an example, Matic Miner is a PRG. And there we go. I'll give it a bit of volume. Right, and if we go back to the menu, where are we? And Turrican is a CIT file, which actually flashes the memory. There we go. Turrican. Nice. And there we go. One fixed up and future-proofed SX64.
Nice work.
Yeah, thank you very much for your help.
No problem.
What do you think of the portable Commodore?
I think it is incredibly cool, and I am incredibly jealous.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind just looking at that thing over there.
Sure, off you go. Hey, it's portable.
Yeah, that's right.
This is, like I said in the intro, this is one of those holy grail kind of machines. I was incredibly lucky to get one working in the condition that it's in, and it's just awesome. They're not perfect, not by a long shot, but it's a portable computer from 1983.
Yeah. What do you expect?
Yeah.
With a color CRT. I mean,
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
And I'm really happy with the Kung Fu Flash Cart. It's, I think, the perfect pairing for this computer. Yes, I've got an SDIC, I've got a Pi 1541 and all the rest of it, but you don't want all those extra cables and everything with a portable machine. That little cartridge just sits in above the disk drive and can all be packed away and kept together. So I think that's great.
It's perfect.
Yeah. Thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. And I shall see you in the next one, whenever that happens to be. Right, so the elephant in the room is where have I been for the last year and a bit, and certainly not on YouTube. It essentially comes down to this. I found myself spending every single weekend doing something to do with YouTube. My life basically turned into work, prepping for a video or shooting a video. That was it. I wasn't spending any other time doing anything else. And that included stuff around the house, other projects I wanted to do. And I was even using like all my leave from work. Like I would take 2 weeks off and all I would do is videos. And it was a landscaping project actually in the backyard over a year ago now, probably nearly 18 months ago. And I had 2 weeks off work and I had actually planned to do videos. But the opportunity came up with my neighbour who had a digger. And there was a big project in the backyard that had been waiting on getting access to a digger to dig a whole area out and get it started. And I basically spent 2 weeks doing that landscaping job. And I got an immense amount of satisfaction out of it as well as anything else. But it was that moment that made me go, hang on a minute, all I have been doing for the last 4 or 5 years is work in YouTube. And look, the other side of it is the fact that I was also pumping every red cent into new computers to have on the channel. And I'd actually got to the point where I was buying computers that personally I don't actually really give a shit about, but basically just to feed the channel. And I looked around the shed and I kind of went, I actually don't really like that computer. That one does nothing for me. And I had all this stuff and I just thought, you know what, this is just starting to get ridiculous. Now, from a financial point of view, that wasn't that big a deal. I earn a reasonable amount of money and Patreon kind of always helped take the edge off that as well. But it was just, it's like, I've got other things I really want to do in my life. And we all know I've got my own mental health issues and all the rest of it. And I just went, look, enough is enough. And I spoke to Jess about it. I spoke to Mark about it. And spoke to some other friends about it. And they're just like, look, dude, just take a break. It's not like it's your livelihood or anything like that. And on top of that, things at work were getting insane. I had a whole new team that had started with me that just takes a lot of mental energy. It's not, they're great guys, don't get me wrong, but just from a manager point of view, and I haven't managed people in a long, long time, it's just very mentally very taxing as well. Now, on a little side note, that particular issue, the whole work thing, yeah, it's not much of a concern right now. If you know what's happening, what has been happening at the University of Canberra, you'll know. And I got caught up in it. But don't worry about me, I'll be fine. Anyway, so I basically just went, look, I've had enough. And I basically put the channel on hiatus. I shut down Patreon and I went and just, well, hid in a corner for a couple of months. But over the last, say, 6 months, I have actually started poking around at vintage computers. Mark and I are still friends. We still catch up all the time. I've been on his channel a few times. And I've just been poking at some projects just in my own time, out here or in the office or whatever it is. And it got me back into the vintage computer side of thing, less than the YouTube stuff, but the actual vintage computer stuff, because I went for like 6 or 8 months or something where I didn't even touch a vintage computer at all. And I got my love for this back again, which is good. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for that, obviously. And when I said to Mark, you know, I've got this SX64, it's probably worth a video because it is such a special machine, he's just like, yes! So, and I said, well, if I'm going to do it, you've got to jump on the channel as well because I'm going to be really rusty, blah, blah, blah. And so we spent today essentially shooting this video. And apart from the whole keyboard nightmare, look, I actually did enjoy it. I've still got to go edit it, so that might change my mind, but yeah, I actually did quite enjoy it. So going forward, what does that mean? Well, I've got at least 3 or 4 other like computers that I either want to show off or they need repairs or whatever it happens to be. One incredibly special one, another Commodore machine, which you'll eventually see. But from a timeline point of view, I'm going to, and I know this is going to mess with the algorithm and all the rest of it, but I don't really care. You'll see videos from me when I feel like making a video. It's as simple as that. If I've got the urge and the time and the motivation, I'm going to start making videos again. I know Mark will keep me on that. We are talking about start doing some more live streams because that's actually something that him and I really enjoy doing. It's like half a day of just me and him clowning around, fucking around on something. And the viewers, the few times we've done it, the viewers seem to really enjoy it. And the beauty is it really doesn't take that much live stream. Obviously, it doesn't take that much prep. There's obviously no editing. And so we might do some more of that. But right now, just letting you know that I'm okay, I'm still alive, and videos will come out. Just don't ask me when, but I'm kind of dipping my toe back in, we'll put it that. Anyway, that's enough kind of me rambling on for now, and yeah, I'll see you when I decide to make another video. Bye.